The recording I'm about to present is several years old. Some of the film that I had made has been lost for whatever reason, so sit back and enjoy this. These traps have been used very successfully to keep hogs out of gardens and other things around the property here. I do recommend them. Not happy with the price, but I do recommend the product. Thank you. Dysfunctional vet here. We're going to do an evaluation of these tripwire alarms. They use number 2 blanks right there. These are used for driving nails. Now these are red tipped. You have these mounting screws here, one here. You also have this for staking it in the ground. I don't know if that's a really great idea personally. The reason being, if something gets into this and gets tangled and it's in the ground, it's going to run off with your trap. I'd go ahead and mount it like this, and I would put a trip pin, like a paper clip or something like that, so if an animal were to become tangled in your line, and I'll go back to why I'm talking about animals in just a minute, but if something got tangled in your line, they'd break the paper clip and they wouldn't damage your mine and they wouldn't run off with it. Alright, the trigger mechanism, let's look at that. The alarm is armed by coming back and setting it here. When the thing comes off, it then slides forward. The metal that holds the blank and the metal that strikes it are both extremely soft. If you dry fire this once or twice, you'll never use it a third time. These are about 20 bucks a piece. I think they were like 19 something, just short of $20. But if you use these things, make sure that they always have a blank in there, and that you do not dry fire them. Now I'm going to show you the one that I just tested. I fired it 5 times simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously. I fired it 5 times in a row, and it's still working. And I'm going to show you the modifications I made to it. Okay, the construction. This is approximately a 1-inch soft steel flat bar. It's MIG weld with these 1/4-inch rods for ground planting. These pieces right here, well, let me go back up. This piece here, and this piece here, and this piece here are washers that are MIG welded. The handle is just bent, and that's so you can pull up. This is a washer that you tie onto. It's also MIG welded to the washer here. This piece of material in there, I'm not sure what that metal is, but it's incredibly soft. The one that's damaged that I can't use anymore, I'm going to try to heat it up and chill it off a couple of times, including the tip here, and I'm going to see if I can make that harder and more tempered so that it won't get damaged if it dry fires. These nuts right here that are used for screwing it on are also MIG welded. Overall, it's not a bad little mine. I hated to pay 20 bucks for it, but that's just the way it is. You can, hopefully you can see it. The lighting out here is not real great. We're supposed to be getting tons upon tons upon tons of rain. In fact, I stand corrected. This is angle iron right here. If you look real carefully, you can see that. It's a piece of angle iron that raises this up enough to hit this. And that looks like a 1/2-inch angle. The design is extremely simple. This spring is very strong. I don't know. I was going to put a pull scale on it and find out what the pressure of this spring was, but I haven't done that yet. What I had to do to that other mine over there that I have not, I'd have to take it down to show you, but it's not a big deal. I bored some holes into this, and I use a nail like this to tap the blank out, because when these things fire, they expand so much that getting them out just takes a little bit of effort. I tried using a pocket knife. It wasn't all that effective. I mean, you can do it. It's just faster to put a hole in there. But let me explain why this thing has this shield where it's at. When this thing fires, if there's combustible material in the area, or you're in an explosive, well, if you have combustible material and this stuff is close enough to it, this is driving nails into concrete, and it is enough heat to start a fire. And I may do a video just on the ignition factor stuff, because that's actually a really fascinating. You get into heat absorption, heat release, all that kind of good stuff. Fire technology is just really amazing. I'm glad I studied it. But I bored this hole through there, and since I have 6 of these, one is loaned to a friend, well, one's been given to a friend. I gave my sister one because she's being harassed by wild animals at night, primarily raccoons trying to get into the dog food. I gave her one so that she can set it up. I'm going to be boring holes into the rest of these. I'll be cutting these off. I don't like them. But I will always be setting these things so that there's no chance of a fire starting. But once I have a hole drilled, I put the nail in there, I drive the blank out, I put a new one in, it's armed, it's ready to go. Let's look at the paperwork that came with it. First and foremost, they have these warning signs, which if you live in a super dry environment like a desert, I imagine they would last a little while till the wind blew. Nothing on the back. Right here, they tell you to use a level 2 blank. They talk about safety, about the powder charge. When a rifle, or in this case a blank, fires, it's called an impact. And what that does, if the power striking your eardrum is sufficient, it will blow the little cilia that's in your ear out, and it will cause permanent hearing loss. It's not a temporary thing. Got the operations, about screwing down and that kind of stuff. Owner's manual available here at Mile, and I'm going to spell it mileshockum.com. I'm going to pause this. You can hear my little guys are going to town.